One thing that I think is really interesting about intermittent fasting that people don't often talk about, everybody talks about the health benefits and the autophages or whatever, where there's good cells eat the bad cells and stuff. And there's a lot to that, which is obviously what I've started doing. But I've been doing intermittent fasting now for like 6 months. And after about 17 hours of not eating, you do start to get hungry. Um, and then there are peaks and valleys to that. But like, there's a period in that whole, kind of fasting window where your body definitely starts to tell you like, hey, it's strange that you've not eaten food, and it starts to overpower everything else you've got going on, including mentally. And that kind of can subside, and there are ways to deal with it, like with coffee and stuff. But there's a moment in there where, when it's really peaking, other problems that are in your mind go away, and your body tells your brain, or your brain tells your body, or whatever, that hey, like, food is the thing that we need to address right now. And it pushes everything else aside, and that becomes like a total focus. And then you just got to like distract yourself, or you got to say like, no, it's okay, I'm going to keep writing it out and just feel the hunger. And you get used to it, but you do still definitely start to feel the hunger physically and mentally. And then when you do finally eat, well, whatever period it is, if it's like whatever fasting window you do, whether it's 18 and 6 or 20 and 4 or whatever, and when you do eat, your brain at that point is suddenly like, great, we've done it, we've got food, and you feel so thankful that you've got food. And then there's that like primal survival biological thing that happens where you're just like, cool, we've solved the number one problem right now. And that lasts for a bit, and then like life carries on. But that repeating that thing over and over and over again every day, that back and forth of like that period where the number one problem you have in your life for a bit in a day is, at least it's happening inside your body, is that, hey, we don't have food, and that's your primal instinct that tells you that that's what you need to solve. And then you do eat and you solve that, and then there's so much relief from that makes you so thankful, that makes you kind of like psychologically put everything else into perspective. And that's something that I think that people don't talk about, that like when you realize how, when you start to live in a way where you realize, where part of your day is really kind of highlighting how important food is and prioritizing that and it just kind of puts everything else into secondary level of importance, which is amazing, and a huge difference from like when compared to like when you're not doing that. And because we don't have to struggle for food anymore, a lot of us who are lucky to do so, and you just kind of can keep eating for the rest of your life without ever kind of feeling that urge kick in, that it just makes it seem like that's not important and everything else is important. But actually, just kind of like the way that we're wired, survival is very, very important. And you get to feel that for a bit. And then the fact that you achieve your survival thing by, getting food and feeding yourself, nourishing your body, is just, I think psychologically it really just helps keep everything in perspective. And I think that that's something that I didn't expect would be a benefit from fasting, like putting just things in perspective. So yeah. I just wanted to share that that's kind of like a hidden benefit of this whole intermittent fasting thing.